World's a Beautiful Place at Sub T is did they have to have some people stand on the floor? Like,
no, they miraculously all fit, but they were like, you couldn't see all of the members from, I think, any place in the venue.
Just imagining, like, seeing some instrument cables running up the spiral staircase to the green room or whatever.
Right, yeah. Welcome to Noise Floor, a podcast about music through the lens of our favorite artists' discographies. My name is Matt Kistler.
And I'm Troy Sennett.
And we are continuing our series on Rise Against, Chicago punk band Rise Against, here with their fourth album, Sufferer and the Sorry, I always leave out the at the beginning. The Sufferer and the Witness, which came out back in 2006 on 4th of July, which, you know, seems like it was a bold choice, given
they claim it was totally an accident, but I don't buy that.
I don't buy that one bit. I'm sure it was also an accident when AFI put out an album 2 days later on July 6th, or no, never mind. Sorry, that would have been June.
They did a June 6th. Yeah.
They did 666,
yeah.
Which was definitely not an accident at all. I just forgot what number months are. It's fine. We're all doing great over here. Anyway, much like Siren Song of the Counterculture, this came out on Geffen Records. Unlike Siren Song of the Counterculture, we are back with Bill Stevenson and Jason Livermore for producing this album, and it's a welcome return production-wise, I would say. But other personnel on this album, mixed by Chris Lord-Alge, mastered by Ted Jensen. Names that we've come across before on this podcast. We've got a couple guests that we'll get to later on in the episode, but let's talk a little background. I definitely remember. I don't know if I remember the lead up to this album so much as I remember really like latching on to Chamber of the Cartridge early on, and not just because of the CTA thing at the beginning. But I remember being in a songwriting class my freshman year of college, which was like right after this album came out. And one of our assignments was to do a cover, and I really wanted to try to cover this whole song. And there was absolutely no way that was happening, and I did not realize that early on. Despite being in a band that attempted to cover Give It All several years before, or I guess a couple years before, and failing despite having multiple people. I don't know why I thought I could do an even more wild song by myself, but I gave up, clearly. But yeah, like much like with Siren Song, I was pretty excited about this one, and I feel like overall it delivered on my excitement. What about you, Troy? How this was the first one that you were like in the lead up for like the whole time, right?
Yeah, this is like that thing that we talked about with Thursday in particular, going into City by the Light Divided, where this was the one where I was like I had gotten into the album before, and I was like on the hype cycle the entire time, following the single releases and reading all the interviews and everything. I was in for this one. And I remember, I think I talked about last week, like thinking that I might have had the edited, like Walmart edited version of Siren Song. This was actually the one that I was required to buy the edited version of from Walmart. And I still have to this day, and let's put a pin in that because I will talk about a little bit about that later. But I was so excited for when this album came out, and I really, really like it. I agree that the going back to Bill Stevenson was the right choice for them, and reading like the interviews with them from the time, like they thought so too. They kind of feel like Siren Song was the one that got away from them, is what they've said. And that going back to Bill Stevenson was like just so refreshing. They were able to, to work with someone who kind of knew their influences again. And I think it shows like this album feels more connected to Revolutions Per Minute than Siren Song. It almost makes Siren Song feel like this weird little sidestep into like, the high production values and the major label world or whatever, even though this one is still on Geffen. But it's, I don't know, this album, I am very fond of it still. I have a few nits to pick with it, but I think it's really good. Before we get off the Bill Stevenson thing, do you know about his his brain tumor and surgery and everything?
Yeah, I remember reading about that a while ago. Yeah.
So this is like I was looking at the timeline of this because it struck me like how effusively they Tim especially like praises his production work and working with him and the experience of working with him at this time. And like I remember listening to an episode of Krista Makes a Podcast with Nick Diener from the Swellers, and he talks about how like he knew Bill Stevenson through, I think the Swellers like toured with the Descendants or something. There was some like connection there. And he was like, I thought that Bill didn't like me. Like, he just like wouldn't respond to me, or was always like really weirdly standoffish when we would text or whatever. And then like he texted me called me one day and seemed like a totally different person. And he was like, yeah, I got my brain tumor removed and I feel like I'm alive again and we should make a Swellers record together. And that's a couple years later, because that record was good for me and comes out in 2011.
Yeah.
And so I was just looking at the timeline. I was like, oh, this must be like right in like the depths of when Bill Stevenson felt like he was thought he was like losing it. He was like, he talks about feeling like he was too old, or had just kind of had no fire left and didn't feel like the person that he used to be. And then in 2010 he has this surgery and gets this tumor removed, and he's like he talks about feeling like a new person. And so like it's interesting to me that even through what I assume was kind of like the toughest parts of Bill Stevenson's life, Rise Against is still working with him and just absolutely loves that experience. I don't know. I think it says a lot that he's still able to make records this good, even when struggling with what he was struggling with.
Yeah, that really says a lot. And like, especially alongside this band who like just feels at this point in their career like maybe not inextricably tied with him, but like later on definitely in hindsight, like he is such, I mean, we mentioned this on the RPM episode that like he's effectively a member of the band.
Yeah, I mean, he like I said, he knows what they're going for every time, and just especially Joe talks about like being almost having this sort of like sixth sense of like knowing exactly what like kind of Bad Brains bass part he's trying to write or whatever, and being able to like translate that where it's what they couldn't do with Garth Richardson.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Do you still feel pretty good about this record now? Do you think it holds up?
I think I like this record more now than I did back when it came out, which is a weird feeling because like I did really like it back then, and I feel like I had, I would say, different preferences on this album. Like I don't want to get too far ahead, but like I thought that like the swings on this album were like a little more interesting back then than I do now, and I think that's just kind of through exposure to people doing the same thing but better, namely The Approaching Curve,
I was obsessed with that song. When I was 14.
Same, honestly. I was legally an adult at this point, but still. But yeah, I don't know that this album hit emotionally back when I was like early college listening to this as it does now. Which I guess kind of makes sense given the state of the world right now, especially the country that we live in, and also having more life experience in general. Like, yeah, I think this one really holds up and has like maybe aged like a fine wine, in a way that I maybe wouldn't argue Siren Song did quite as well. And that's not a dig on Siren Song. That's, I think, more praising this album for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just like with what this album is kind of about, the thesis of it, the idea of it, this idea that like the title of Suffer and the Witness referencing this like what Tim calls like our cause and effect relationship with the world, and that like once you realize that every action you take has a reaction, that like you might be creating some kind of suffering by even something innocuous that you do, and like once you recognize that, then you have to deal with it in some way. And like I think that I don't think as a teenager I had quite the capacity to understand that or to really like internalize it, and now as an adult I really have. And so yeah, I think that aspect of the album is it's we keep mentioning this with Rise Against records. It's like I wish that the stuff that they wrote about had changed at all, had been fixed at all in the intervening decades, and it really hasn't, and in fact has probably gotten worse in a lot of ways.
I would argue it has for sure. let's be real, even if it had been kind of stagnant, like that's also just getting worse due to like when the travesties that we were already dealing with at this point in our collective history become like kind of status quo, like that's a bad sign. And like those are the kinds of things that are, I guess, hard to notice as, I guess, the witness in this situation, especially when you are fully detached from the horrors that might be being committed in your name, and most assuredly are every single day. But yeah, like even if things had not gotten like objectively worse, like I think the continuation of the way that America handles itself abroad is just bad enough on its own, you know, going from 2006 to now. And like I think that like I obviously kind of, you know, feel the like core thesis of this album being like, you know, kind of reflected in the title, but like the other thing that feels like it feeds into this is the having to have sat with that for a while, because like we're at this point still in George Bush's second term. Last album we didn't know George Bush was going to have a second term, so like we, you know, not dissimilar to where we're at today, kind of saw an entire nation make the same mistake again. And obviously, in some people's opinion, that wasn't a mistake. And that is clearly reflected in how things turned out. The realization that, like, you may be the type of person who is resisting against this kind of thing, and not seeing the fruits of that. I think the frustration of that is like really core to this album too, in kind of addition to just the theme of taking a step back and recognizing like, okay, like we've talked many times before about complicity, but like we're gonna really dig in on it now.
Yeah, and it's not even like complicity. It goes beyond that, even to just like this idea of the only way to be alive, to live fully, is to resist in some way, to enact some kind of change. And I feel like that's kind of what a lot of these songs are getting at. That it's about more than just you know, recognizing the effect that you might have on the world. It's about doing something about it, and that like people who refuse to do that or whatever, or you know, they're the ones who are. I mean, they're basically, they calls them drones at one point on the album,
right? Yeah, definitely. Like that. Yeah, that's that. I think that was just somehow a part of it that I missed in my rambling just now. Yeah, just kind of the idea that like most people are just kind of, well, we'll get to it on drones, but like kind of sitting back and letting these things happen, and that let's just say not good.
Yeah,
to put it lightly. Should we go ahead and dive in here?
Yeah, let's do it. So yeah, this album starts off with Chamber of the Cartridge, yet another, maybe not quite as much as State of the Union, but another kind of like, here's a song to like just knock you out of your seat to start the record off. I think this is like a really perfect Rise Against album opener. It might be their best one, after Black Masks and Gasoline, obviously.
Yeah, I agree with that. And of course, in case you forgot, well, I say in case you forgot, they're from Chicago, but the stop is in Evanston. It does start with with the CTA man, whose name I definitely knew at one point, but have forgotten because I saw like a micro documentary on him. But I, for an embarrassingly long time, did not know that Noise is actually a stop in Evanston on the Purple Line.
I learned that about 14 hours ago. I literally have just, because they have the EP from around this time too, called This Is Noise. I was like, oh, that's just what they're saying there. Obviously it's an intentional, like, using the homophone because it's funny and makes sense, but like, I just had no idea, and it makes a lot of sense. Puts this album in a nice canon of albums that start off with a CTA sample along with Dent by Signals Midwest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's one of those, it's another song that is just meant to, like, I think is just to like make you confront the you know, your lack of action that you might, or you know, any action you might be able to take, or your lack of of care about how your actions affect people in the world. It's a song about like what the lengths that people try to go to ignore the suffering around them.
Yeah, my big note on this is kind of being on the edge of hopelessness, but turning yourself away from it, through, let's say, doing your part, if we want to put it a little lightly. But yeah, like the main riff is just so killer on this song.
So good.
It's so good. The kind of the "save us from what we have become tonight" refrain later in the song gets stuck in my craw all the time. Yeah, honestly just a perfect opener. And the only reason it's not their best, I would say, is because Black Masks and Gasoline already exists.
Yeah. So I love the way this chorus ends with that line of "what's mine was always yours and yours is mine," in this kind of like ode to that we collectively rise and fall as a people, as a nation, as a world. And I can never square that idea, which comes up a lot in Rise Against songs, with the fact that like in the liner notes they recommend Ayn Rand books, which is it's one
wild.
of those. Yeah, it's one of those like, her work has been, I think, ever more ragged upon by people on the left as the years go on. But I just like, it's just so funny to hear a lyric like that and be like, oh, but he also wants me to read The Fountainhead. Not sure how I should take that.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you come across any interviews where he like mentions why that is a point of reference for them? Because that's just like, that's wild to me. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
unless it's a know your enemy type thing.
Yeah, I don't think it is though. I don't know. I have not actually seen him like talk about that at all. I did like the bit in the documentary where his dad was like, we had to like stop Tim from reading all the time and get him to go outside as a kid. I thought that was funny.
That was beautiful, honestly.
But yeah, no, I just, like I said, that always, I always think about that when because it's just one of those things where people contain multitudes, but those two bits of their politics never seem to line up for me.
Yeah, it is a wild one, especially like given that like the way in which they present themselves and the way in which Tim writes lyrics, like just total clash.
So after that is Injection. This is a big catchy song, great chorus. I guess this is kind of a song about imploring someone to keep caring about their life, their relationship, some aspect of themselves. What do you think of this one?
I love this one. I especially love the knees are weak, hands are shaking going into the chorus. Like, a musical theme on this album that I notice is that there are like, I feel like the transitions between parts are more pronounced than ever on this one, in both smooth and jarring ways, which we'll get to on some future songs, more so on the latter one. But like, this one feels like a really kind of smooth transition from the verses to the choruses. I do also have Pogo Part number 1 written on this song from the kind of bridge.
Yeah.
But
okay.
But yeah.
So the second half of the bridge, when Tim goes into the screaming part, I don't feel like we've reached the point yet in their career where his voice has like changed irreparably or anything. But at that part, I'm like, oh, that's what he used to sound like, and which is weird because I don't think that like he sounds bad or anything on this record. But like, I think that is a particular moment where he's really going for the unraveling sound again.
So I don't know at what point. I know he took lessons at some point, and I know it wasn't early in the band's career. I wonder if this is like where he kind of learned to control that a little bit better. But I can't say for sure. But yeah, this was kind of a point where this song like kind of, I think, explores like a kind of sub theme on this album of like kind of feeling like you've lost your agency in the kind of greater sprawl of society, and like doing what you can to reclaim that, which like is like I guess a more specific version of the kind of greater, like watching society just kind of like let things pass by while you are seeing the atrocities and wanting to and trying to do something about it. This one in particular feels like it's getting right at that theme pretty directly.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot as like as something that it's this idea that you can feel the draw of the, I mean, like, so we get to the drones thing, even though that's such a like trite image, but like you feel the draw of like how like it's, I guess maybe here's a better way to put it. It's so easy to find ways to ignore the suffering in the world, to not be the witness that the title mentions. And I think, yeah, that's the song is kind of trying to find a way to not to not let that stuff just pass you by.
Yeah, definitely.
Next up is Ready to Fall. This was the first single from the album. I'm just okay. What do you think this song is about?
That's a good question, Troy. I'm not sure.
This is a strange song. I was thinking about the song a lot today, and really I don't feel like I have a good grip on it. I think it is I understand why it was a single because it's very catchy.
Yes.
But I think I have a read on it that, like, because I think it is a song about being willing to die or take great risks to your life or your person or whatever for your beliefs, but I don't think that is like expressed very well in the song, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's what makes me think that this is like kind of the little like theme that I was talking about on Injection. I feel like this is kind of a similar but more strongly worded version of that. Like I think the falling metaphor is less about, taking your own life for a cause. I think that's more explicitly touched on later on this record. But I feel like it's more of a like kind of reclaiming that lost agency, that like it's kind of like in the second verse we get the line I took one last look from the heights that I once loved and then I ran like hell. Like that feels like it's kind of the like the settling into like not wanting to be the witness, not wanting to be the person who takes action against the atrocities that they are witnessing, and like throwing out that comfort in exchange for something that can and will hurt. Obviously, like jumping off a rooftop is definitely going to kill you. So like that's maybe a little bit of a strong metaphor if that's what's actually being gone for here. But that's kind of my read on it. Especially given how much of a banger this song is.
Yeah, it's like it feels like a song about being. It's like you're willing to go beyond the bounds of safety for a cause, but like it's it's got that same like the bridge is that like now my compassion slowly drowns. It's like this idea that like you can't help yourself from slipping. I don't know. I don't think this song is super clear about its about its like themes and ideas, and like I don't know, ends up being kind of one of my least favorite songs on the album because of that. And like I don't know, one of the I always like have Genius pulled up, and I always look at what people write on the Genius annotations, most of which I think are just total bunk for the most part. And like Genius seems to think this is a song about contemplating suicide, which I really don't think is like
No.
I don't hear that in the song at all. I don't know, that's what I was trying to like square that with what I think the album is about, and then the music video, which is like has the band kind of playing in a clear-cut forest and has this a lot of like images of like poaching and factory farming and environmental destruction, and and so it's like I can't square the idea that this is like a song about giving up, whereas because I think this is a song about, it's supposed to be a song about conviction, just not expressed super well.
Yeah, no, I hard agree. I think this is definitely a song about not giving up explicitly. But yeah, the wording, I would be interested to hear like a demo version of the song, because I wonder if the lyrics were a bit different and maybe didn't fit super well. Originally.
Yeah, maybe. I would be curious. I wonder next year will be 20 years. I wonder if they'll do a Suffer in the Witness 20 or whatever, like they did in RPM 10.
I would believe it. I could definitely see it happening. Like I mean, we maybe didn't say this in the beginning, but like this was like after the success of Swing Life Away and by proxy Siren Song, like this one, they got another big push on this one. Not maybe their biggest push of their career yet, but definitely a huge one with a song we'll talk about later. But this one feels like it did pretty well. It feels like it's still a song people like to have Pogo Moment number 2 to at a Rise Against show.
Yeah, it's got to be a good live song.
It definitely is.
Yeah. So after that is Bricks, which is just like that must be the fastest song on the record. Like they're maybe the fastest song. I don't think they ever play this fast again in their career.
Not from here, no, definitely not.
I like this one quite a bit. It's you know, kind of another song about conviction, about like violent resistance to injustice. In a way that is like sort of refreshingly specific in its kind of its call to action, whereas I think a lot of like Siren Song was a little more vague in what it was getting at a lot of the times. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I love when a band tells me to throw a brick, like straight up. This one's really good. This one I'm surprised they still like occasionally play it live. Because it really does feel like one that like it's such a direct call to action, and it's like it's a short song compared to everything else here. But like my literal only note on this song is if you were worried there wasn't a straight up protest song, it's right here. Maybe not the only one, but like definitely one of the most direct ones.
Yeah, there's another one coming up that is.
There's another. Yeah, there's definitely another one coming up. But
yeah, but this is one of the songs that makes me kind of buy that the idea that the band talks about, and that this is like the extension of revolutions per minute. That it's more of it's sort of a corrective from where they went on Siren Song.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that one. Also, yeah, the couplet, "We run on the fumes of injustice, we'll never die with the fuel that you give us," is just like chef's kiss. So good.
Yeah, it works really well. It's got that like stomping beat there, which will come up again on this record.
Yeah. That bridge goes hard.
It's fun. I like it. After that is Under the Knife, which this is the other song on the record that I think is maybe a little kind of confused in its themes or just not super clear in its writing. It's I guess it's a song about, you know, wanting to make tough changes versus the idea of living a quiet, painless life. But like, I just think the imagery of like the dreams or the anesthetic or whatever just doesn't all quite come together for me. What about you?
My initial reaction to this is it is wild to use the phrase "wake me up inside" in a post "bring me to life" world.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
I think about that every single time. And I have every single time since I first heard this song in 2006. Like, I think this is a mostly solid song, but like, yeah, the metaphor seems like it gets a bit mixed here, and like maybe that's the intention. Like, is to kind of hint at that push and pull between like kind of wanting to like take it easy and wanting to, you know, go hard on taking action against injustice, as it were. But like, yeah, the message isn't as clear as it is on some other songs. But I think it still mostly works.
Yeah,
it's asking for a push from an outside force, which I think is kind of what differentiates this song from the other songs. Like, it's not, you know, maybe the core theme is sometimes you need to lean on your friends for that push to do the right thing. But that might be stretching it a little bit.
Yeah, I guess what I kind of bump against is that the using dreams as like both a positive and a negative thing in the different parts of the song. It doesn't quite land for me. It just feels like this was a really good melody that they couldn't quite find the right lyrics to.
Yeah, I think that might be the best way of putting it.
I would totally cut the song from the record and replace it with "But Tonight We Dance" if I was resequencing this album.
Interesting. I think that's I might try that sometime. We'll see.
I don't know how it fits there, like musically or like the flow of the record. I just like that song a lot.
It's a good song.
We'll get to it at the end.
Yeah.
After that is "Prayer of the Refugee," which I guess was probably like the biggest hit, or certainly is the biggest like legacy of this album for in the Rise Against world, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was in Guitar Hero, so.
Yep, I played it so much in Guitar Hero 3. This I don't know that I loved this song when it first came out. I just remember feeling like it was kind of by default became the song that was identified with Rise Against in this era. I like it so much more now than I did as a teenager. I think there's a really like subtle critique in this song that it's making that I didn't get at the time, that I now feel very feel very passionate about. But I don't know. What do you think of this one before I get too deep on this one?
No, I'm excited to hear you get deep on this one. Yeah, I actually think I've kind of got a similar trajectory. Like, I don't think I loved this song at the time. I don't want to rag on it. Like, I don't think I disliked it. But it definitely wasn't one of my favorites on the album. But I think, like, musically, at very least, I really like. It's amazing how this song gels together, given just the like complete 180s that it takes between the verses and the choruses. This was like kind of on my tip where I think about the transitions on this album a lot, and like this one is like kind of like the canonical example of that. Just like kind of going from this like almost breezy guitar riff to just like no like easing in, just like turning around and doing a punk song now.
It's like it lulls you into thinking you're not listening to a Rise Against song, and then just like grabs you by the neck and pulls you back in at the chorus.
Yeah, exactly. But like, yeah, I don't think I really grokked, the story of this song when I was younger, and I feel like I have a much deeper appreciation for it now. And this title should have been a dead giveaway that this is literally a song about a refugee like making their way through life. But like it didn't hit back when for some reason.
So the thing that I was never able to square before that I was like listening to it again now was that like the chorus has this like defiance to it that I never quite like, and I'm sure this is just like obvious, it's just what the song is, but like this is the whole thing is that the persona, whatever, is singing it to, or shouting it to, like the kind of politician on both Republicans and Democrats do this, who would use the plight of a refugee as like a bargaining chip in a negotiation, or to campaign on and then betray, and then just ignore them once they get elected. And like I think about that stuff way more often now than I did when I was younger, and I don't think I got that element of it. But the idea that like the prayer is to not of the refugee is to not be used as propaganda, to be shown humanity. Like and I, like I said, like kind of getting that now made me just think the song is realize how well written the song is.
Yeah, definitely. And like, in fairness to both of us, I don't think either of us had really seen the patterns of that happening enough times to really like see it for what it is.
Right, or thought like, about it.
Yeah, now 20 years later, it happens all the time. The tokenizing of folks in general, like of non-white folks, period, like is just everywhere all the time, and then they are thrown out like so much trash the second something either does or doesn't happen for the person who is using them. Like,
yeah, no, that the tokenization is exactly right. Like the word that I was missing there.
Yeah,
and I think it's just the mark of a good songwriter to be able to write a really like, I think kind of caring, empathetic story from the perspective of someone who has has lived a totally different experience. And I think it rings true, but who am I to say?
Yeah, I don't know that I am allowed to say, but I get the impression that it's well done in that regard.
Yeah. I also think that this is the best music video of the 4 that they released for this album. Did you watch all these music videos?
That was the one thing I sacrificed on the way up here.
Okay. So this is I remember seeing this video a little bit on like MTV or whatever at the time, but the band is just like playing in a big box store and like running through the aisles and stuff. It's really it's kind of like has this sort of not like fun, but like, oh, okay, it's like they're doing the consumerism thing or whatever. But then they do this thing where they keep intercutting products. Like they'll show like zoom in on a product and then it'll intercut with like the people who are making it, child labor, refugees working on these products in third world countries or whatever. And then at the end they just all like stick "Made in the USA" stickers on all this stuff that they're making. It's a pretty effective video, I think. A really simple idea, but it works really well.
That whole thing just came flooding back to me as
you saw it as a kid.
It's a hell of a video. Wow.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Better than another video we'll get to later. Next up is drones. Which we kind of mentioned a little bit, which is this idea that like, sure, it's a pretty basic critique of like corporate office jobs, whatever, people who just like work a 9 to 5 and don't have any passion or whatever. But like, I think it's still a pretty good song. It's, I don't know, it's almost hard for Tim McIlrath to write a bad chorus at this point in his life, I think.
Yeah.
It's so easy to sing along to and stuff. Even I don't think it's like the best song on the album, but what do you think of this one?
Yeah, this is maybe a little bit lower on my list of songs that I like love from this album, but I still think it's really good. One, the transition from Prayer of the Refugee into this, stellar.
Oh yeah, I do like that.
Yeah, it's really good. But yeah, like the chorus bangs. I might talk about this a little bit more on Survive, but I do feel like when Tim is critiquing like a lifestyle that is like corporate office life or whatever, he seems to like come at it from more of a place of empathy than other songwriters might. Like an I get it, but couldn't be me type thing. Like not necessarily like saying that's okay, but going, okay, I see how you arrive here, but like this is maybe unacceptable in a lot of ways. Whereas like I've heard hundreds of punk songs about this exact thing done way worse. So
yeah, exactly. It's like a pretty good version of a pretty basic idea.
Yeah, and I know at some point he basically said like this is us trying to, well, this is me writing a song that's basically about Brave New World.
Yeah.
So like, and it makes a lot of sense in that context.
Yeah, the one thing that I do that kind of did stick out to me is there's I don't know if there's a lot of religious imagery on this album, but there's more than I expected. It would kind of keep popping up, and which kind of comes to a head in the bridge of this like disciples of a God that neither lives nor breathes line.
Yeah.
I noted I could go through and find all of it, but I noticed it more than on any other record we've talked about from them so far.
Yeah. The I Won't Come Back gang vocal though.
Yeah.
So good.
Love a gang vocal.
Really do.
After that is The Approaching Curve, which is this was definitely got a lot of like attention in the reviews and stuff at the time, that it was like their big change in style or like big swing, I guess. That's mostly like a spoken word sort of storytelling song, not quite as like out there as like Paramore's No Friend, but like it's a similar like
Tim isn't Tim isn't in Me Without You, so
no. You know. But so you said you have soured on this one a bit as you've gotten older.
I don't want to say I've soured on it. I just think that I don't think it was the first time I heard something like this, but it was one of the first times I heard something like this. And I think somebody can fact check me on this. I might be misremembering completely, but I think that at the time, Tim said that this was their attempt at doing like an At the Drive-In type thing, like one of the weirder At the Drive-In songs, or at least it was like very inspired by that band. And I had at that point in my life, I had not listened to, say, a lot of Me Without You or other bands that like kind of do spoken word, we'll just say, for lack of a better way of putting it, better. I feel like this is a big swing, and I think it mostly works, but like overall, it just like it feels like it stands out in maybe not an entirely positive way. But like also there are parts of it that like definitely do work for me still. Like the big like vocal rise towards the end with Emily on vocals as well. Sorry, I never mentioned this earlier, but Emily Chambra, formerly of the bands Holy Roman Empire and Long Distance Runner, she's like a classically trained vocalist who joined in a punk band later on in life, which is cool as hell for me. But like they were buds for a long time. Both bands rather, but I think Tim and Emily specifically. But yeah, I don't know. Like I feel odd saying soured on it. I just feel like my view of it has become less. I'm less impressed by it than I used to be, because I feel like they're there are better versions of this kind of thing out there. And like that, it feels weird to disparage this for not being as good as those things because they are the things that inspired them.
Yeah, I like. It's for one thing, they never really do anything like this again. Obviously, like
No.
this isn't like an idea of moving into a more spoken word style or a less melodic style. It's an experiment. I think it's like it's a pretty like basic kind of short story that has a pretty like haunting ending. I like
Definitely.
some of the imagery in it a lot. I love the line. She closed her eyes for a bit longer than a standard blink.
That one is very good.
I've always liked that, and I also just like love when Rise Against plays in 6/8. I think that they do it really well, and the chorus of this still kind of would get stuck in my head, over the years, even if I wasn't listening to the album often. And the idea, the theme of it, the idea is that like a song about the unhappiness that people just like hide from the world is like pretty basic, but I don't know. I like this song still quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely still like it. It's just not like if I'm gonna pick one song to listen to off this album, this is not gonna be it.
Probably true. Yeah. I think I could agree with that. After that is Worth Dying For. Yet another song about like striving for change in the world. This has such a sick like opening, like first line, I think.
Legitimately one of the strongest opening lines in Rise Against history, honestly.
Yeah, it's with the stomping like four on the floor kick drum, and I like the imagery and aggression in the verses. I think is great. The chorus gets a little repetitive in my opinion. How you feel about this one?
I really like this one. I do agree that the chorus is maybe a little less cool than the verses are. I put this down as like feeling like kind of a sister song to Bricks, in that it is very explicit in its messaging and very much about taking action for a cause that you believe in. And in this case, unlike on Ready to Fall, it is very explicitly about actually dying for something. Which I really appreciate, in kind of contrast to that song. Also, like the bridge in this song, and like beyond that, the bass part leading into the bridge on this song, immaculate. Love it.
Yeah, we haven't heaped any praise on Joe Principi's bass playing yet in this episode, so we were due.
We got to make up for lost time here. But yeah, I don't know. I think I genuinely think this is a pretty sick song. Like,
yeah, just really really solid Rise Against, I think.
Definitely.
After that is Behind Closed Doors. This song, I like one of those songs that I like just don't really remember. It didn't make an impression on me when I was younger. Really stood out to me this time. This is, I think, kind of the most directly connected to Revolutions Permitted in terms of like its imagery and its themes of any song on this album. This is where I really felt what Tim is saying, that like this is the extension of RPM here.
Yeah, I definitely also see that. Especially with the choruses on this one, I think are really like in that vein. But yeah, I honestly like really, really solid song here. I think the choruses hit maybe a little more than the verses do, like not lyrically necessarily, but just in terms of delivery. But like, yeah, like a line like "we never turn our backs or even bite our tongues," like very in line with what we'll call old Rise Against at this point, even though now this is old Rise Against.
It is weird to think of like, yeah, this is the old stuff.
Yeah, I saw somebody on probably Reddit, honestly, was asking like, hey, what do set lists look like nowadays? Like, are we gonna be getting a bunch of new stuff? I would really like to hear some old stuff. And I was like, it occurred to me that I was like, I don't know what they mean. I have no idea what they mean by old stuff.
What if it's Savior? What if like I hope they play Savior?
Listen, if anybody, okay, listen, I don't know what to say about that one. So
we'll get to
context,
it next week.
Everybody, we've talked about this before. Rise Against did a residency at the Metro, where they claimed they were not going to play any repeat songs between the 3 nights. And Troy took a very good gamble and came on the second night, and it was the best one. But they played Savior all 3 nights, and I was kind of mad about that a little bit. But it's fine.
I guess it's their biggest song.
It's their biggest song. It's a good song. We'll talk about it later. Not on this episode, obviously, but But yeah, I was a little miffed by that. So I'm always gonna have a little bit of a vendetta against that song, even though it's pretty good.
Yeah, so then back to back to Suffer
Back
with a
to this
Witness.
album.
After Behind Closed Doors is Roadside. Tim was very explicit in this interview with Punk News that I was reading, that he was like, this album is not going to have an acoustic ballad like Swing Life Away, but they do have a slower, quieter song, kind of a mode they haven't really explored before. A lot of strings or cello, I guess, on this one. I really don't like the chorus of this song, the Leave Me at the Roadside part. It is not up to snuff. I think the rest of the song I think is all right, but that part I think is not good.
Melodically, I like it. The lyrics do nothing for me at all. Which, like, yeah, I don't know, like especially when you like go into like the verses that not, I guess, that the kind of refrain, the I don't think you see, etc. Those lines are significantly more well crafted, and also the melody sticks out way more.
Yep, that's the part of the song I really like.
Yeah, especially when you get the interplay between Tim and Emily on this one is like really, really good. But yeah, the choruses are like kind of meh on this one. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's a. I think it's like I don't know if they we guess that they felt like pressure to have something like this on the album or whatever, or just felt like doing some changing it up a little bit, kind of like they did with Approaching Curve. I just think this is a less successful experiment.
Definitely, yeah. Like I actually put in my notes that this somehow sticks out more than the Approaching Curve, which is kind of a wild thing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one I would say that I cooled on this even more than the Approaching Curve for sure.
Yep. Same. But fortunately, we're about to get into an incredible 1-2 punch of songs to end this record.
God.
Starting with The Good Left Undone, which I have probably made the argument before, might still argue that it's their best song.
It's up there. It's definitely
it's certainly top 5. This is, I don't know, melodically, musically, this is everything I want Rise Against to be. It's I just think this is kind of a perfect song, even if I don't have like I don't think it's the most like about something, sort of like directly about something song that they have. I think it's kind of beautiful. I kind of read it as a lament about the destruction of the environment, although I think other people take it as like a straightforward love song. I don't know, what do you think of this one?
I definitely don't buy the genius annotation. This is a love song.
Yeah.
I think it's a little. I think it's like more vague than that, if that makes any sense. Like we are talking about like a type of person rather than a specific person, is the impression that I get, which is like the kind of people that are in your life that make you feel like you can do anything. Which like I don't know. Like I love this song. This is my sister's favorite Rise Against song, and maybe one of her favorite songs in general. Also on the residency tip, they did not play this one, which was kind of a bummer for I think everybody involved. Honestly, I know they play it at every other show, but it's such a banger. It's such a banger. It's such a great song. And the extended like hook at the end where you get the All Because of You, I Believe in Angels bit is just like, that's like such a cathartic moment on this song. But yeah, I really absolutely love this song. Like, yeah, it's almost wild that it's not the closer, but then we get Survive, which I don't want to go to that one yet necessarily, but
I just
bears mentioning.
The extended chorus at the end is what I remember hearing that for the first time. You're like, oh, they got something here. This is great. And then the way that his voice kind of hangs over the end on the last song, which like kind of obviously ties into the lyric of like, I'll follow your voice. All you have to do is shout it out. It's not like a trick unique to the song, but it's just a nice touch production wise. I don't know. I don't have much else to say about this song, but it is a wonderful song. I will say that I think the music video is bad.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's this like the band are playing in like an ant farm, I guess. They're like underground while a girl above them is picking flowers. It looks really expensive and looks also terrible. Like all the CGI and stuff. It's not a good music video.
They were really going for something and didn't do it. Whatever it was.
But I do like that. And then So then I guess after that, there's this long kind of, I guess it's the instrumental intro to Survive, which is in the negative. It's like in the CDs could have like negative space on a track,
Yep.
and so it's in the negative space, and so when you would rip the CD or like on streaming, still this long like instrumental interlude, which I swear I remember reading one time was done with 4 bass guitars all playing ebos or something like that.
That sounds right.
Which rules if that's what it is. I could not find the citation for that. But regardless, it's tacked onto the end of Good Left Undone, which is in my opinion not at all where it belongs. So I the first time I remember using Audacity, it was to take my MP3s and cut that part off of Good Left Undone and put it onto the beginning of Survive.
That's beautiful. I love that for you.
Which so my Survive that I have still has a certainly a gapless playback error. There's a little bit of a click before it goes into the actual, the Survive proper intro. And also it is the edited version. So there's a lot of really, really great fucks in this song that are not in my copy of the song, which I'm going to send this to you so you can put it in in the social media post for this album, because it is worth hearing. The insane, like the one in the bridge is what I think I texted you, that it sounds like they put a dog yelping over it or something. It's a very bad like edit. It's really funny.
Oh God, that's beautiful. I've never heard this before, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'll send that over. It's it's worth hearing. I know you love this song, so go off on it.
I love this song. I like, this is I'll go through my notes real quick here. The first note I have on this song is Rise Against Ass riff. Like that opening riff is like the most, excepting the like instrumental intro, like when the guitar hits, that is like one of the most Rise Against things I've ever heard. Honestly, all the rest of these notes are actually not that interesting beyond Rise Against Ass riff. I think that this song is, I kind of alluded to this earlier when we were talking about drones, but it feels like a song that, depending on how you look at it, could either be incredibly hopeful, incredibly biting, or like it's I feel like it really actually balances we've talked a bit about the vagueness of Rise Against lyrics on occasion, and how that may or may not work for them, and I think this one actually strikes a balance in a potentially meaningful way, because like the core refrain of this song, for people who haven't heard it, is the line, "How we survive is what makes us who we are," and like that line could mean literally anything. It could mean that the circumstances of your life drive you to have to do certain things, and that means what it means for you, and it means things for how people perceive you, and you might see that as positive or negative. Other people might see that as positive or negative. Like, take, for example, like a person who does not have enough money to feed themselves or their family, and they go steal a loaf of bread from the Walmart or whatever. That is how they survive. And that, to a person like me, or more likely to them, is, yeah, man, that's how you got to get by. That's how you got to get by. I don't disparage you for it at all. But there are plenty of people out there who would look at that same situation and be like, look at this degenerate stealing from our poor Walmart or whatever. Like, I feel like saying something like that, I'm reading into it way too much, but like this song gets me emotional every single time, specifically because of the way that the chorus goes. And like the verses kind of make the actual perspective of the song a little more clear, but like the way that the chorus is hit, like, kind of make me fixate on that a little bit.
Yeah, I like that kind of illusion, or whatever what it ties to you, for like the specific type of survival that it calls up. I don't know if I have that exact same connection to it, but I think that like the idea that it's like that ties back to the title of the album, that everything we do has an effect on the world, and recognizing that and caring about it is like the important thing, and accepting the idea that like everything isn't going to be great, and that's what it does with this sort of 2-part bridge with the like this describing this like perfect world on a perfect day, and then it has this life isn't like this kind of refrain, that like the survival is like how we deal with the awful things that we see and experience in the world every day. You're right. I think I totally agree that it is the right mix of the lyrical themes and the sort of the different scopes you could take as a political punk band. It lands really well for me.
Definitely, yeah. I feel like in a way it can be an indictment of those who survive by, exploiting others, or to a lesser extent.
Or by ignoring the thing, like
exactly, or by ignoring the thing, like
I mean, literally, like that's the most kind of like straightforward lyric in the song is to spend your waking moments simply killing time is to give up on your hopes and dreams. Like, you're right. It's an indictment too. The idea that like taking action is vital to being truly alive.
Yeah, I like it feels like it's got layers in that way, which I really love.
You mentioned Chris Lord-Alge mixed this record at the top. He is, generally regarded as one of the best mix engineers in the world. There is a straight up just mistake in the mix or edit of this song. Right before the bridge, the really cool guitar lead is like in the center channel, and then like abruptly in the middle of a phrase switches to the left channel.
Yes, it's so weird.
It has bothered me for years. It stands out to me even more now that I like think about editing and mixing songs all the time. I don't know how that made it past everyone. It's really, really distracting.
Yeah, no, I only embarrassingly recently noticed that for the first time, and I've probably noticed it in the past and just thought nothing of it. But like on these last couple listens, I was like, man, that really is there, isn't it?
I honestly thought it was some artifact of my like weird, like I said, experimenting with Audacity to put the intro with this song instead of with Good Left Undone. And then I went back and listened to the one that's on like regular, Apple Music, and nope, it's there. It's just part of the song. It is really weird sounding.
You did nothing, Troy.
But it is that's a small detail in a song and album that I otherwise think is quite good.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think that this album is like going back and revisiting it. I've got like more like kind of more nits to pick with it than I did when I was younger. But I also think that at the same time, it is more effective and more thematically interesting and significant as a work of art than I did when I was 14 or 15 when I first heard it. What do you feel like as kind of in summary?
Yeah, I'm same, honestly. Like the highs of this album feel even higher than they used to, and yeah, there are bits of it that I don't love as much as I used to. But like I feel like I get this album now in a way that I did not get when I was a teenager.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah. Turns out having life experience will do that to you.
Yep, I had to grow into it.
Yeah.
So there's a handful of B-sides and stuff. So there is I want to say an EP, but I feel like there's like 7 EPs called This Is Noise.
Yeah.
Every time I look up the track list for this record, I swear to God, it is different, and it's not the track list that I had downloaded when I, on my iPod. And the different like countries got different versions of this, but it's basically the B-sides collection, which is in a handful of covers of hardcore songs. There's Lifetime, some Minor Threat, some who else is on here? Black Flag, like the covering the classics.
Yeah.
So there's a handful of those, and then a couple of Rise Against B-sides. One of which is Obstructed View, which is actually a Siren song left over. I kind of forgot about that and should have put that on last week's episode. And then,
but it was released in this era, so
I think it was actually released in 2004 on a compilation.
Oh, was
details.
It? Yep. Whoops. Oh well.
Yeah,
it's fine.
And then, But Tonight We Dance is kind of the true B-side, the one Rise Against song that they recorded with Bill Stevenson for this and then left off the album. I don't know that we need to go through these in detail, but any highlights, any standouts from this collection?
I mean, I do definitely like But Tonight We Dance and Obstructed View. But Tonight We Dance, the version that's like available on streaming on Long Forgotten Songs, it like specifies that it's a B-sides version. Do you have any idea what is up with that?
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I think there's only one version of the song out there that I am
Okay,
aware of.
that's what I thought. Okay, I wasn't sure if I was missing something. But yeah, I don't know. Like Rise Against covering any hardcore band is going to be good. Like they do a good Lifetime. Tim's doing a weird thing with his voice on that cover that I don't quite get. Like I think he could have just done his normal thing and it would have been great.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rise Against covering Black Flag and Minor Threat is great. Like there's not really much to talk about there aside from it good.
When I first heard of these, I didn't know they were covers.
Oh, I mean, I'd believe it. Like,
I mean, I was young, but so finding out, I mean, this was literally like probably like how I found out about Well, no, I think I found out about Lifetime when they put out their record on Fueled by Ramen, but like it's all in that same era.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're fun. They're fun covers. And I do like But Tonight We Dance a lot. I think I could find a place to slot it on the album. It's got that classic Rise Against bass intro and huge chorus. It's good stuff that they do.
Of course.
Yeah. And the only other song from this era is that they contributed a cover of Little Boxes to the ongoing Everybody Covers the Weeds theme project.
Yep.
Which I am a big fan of. I think that's a great song, and this is a pretty cool version of it with the kind of, it tricks you into thinking they're going to do like a Swing Life Way style acoustic version before they do the heavy Rise Against version of it. I just think it's fun, not the most significant piece of this puzzle.
No, definitely not. But like it works, and like the lyrics are very very appropriate for the band, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. And then I guess the last kind of thing from this era of the band we want to talk about, which I think they released a DVD at the end of 2006 called Generation Lost, which has a little mini documentary about the band on it. I think neither of us thought that this was going to be a particularly significant thing. A lot of these band documentaries are pretty straightforward, a lot of live footage, some interviews, whatever. We talked about the Paramore ones a bit on that series, which those were pretty good. But like this one really surprised me. This is a strange band documentary. It's mostly shot on their headlining run on Warped Tour 2006. It is barely about the band themselves, which I think is obviously is intentional. But like the band is interviewed a little bit, but even more so, their wives are interviewed, their parents are interviewed, and really it's about fans. There's 4 or 5 different fans that are interviewed in depth, and some of them meet the band and play guitar with Tim, and like. It's a strange documentary that decenters the band a lot and is more about the experience of being in a relationship with a band member or being a fan of a band generally and what that can mean to someone. What did you think of this documentary? I think because I think we both agree that it was surprising.
Yeah, it definitely was. And like we were texting back and forth about this because I wasn't fully convinced for a minute that I had actually seen this, but now like. In retrospect, I definitely watched this back in like either late 2006 or early 2007. But yeah, I don't remember it standing out to me that much, and maybe it was because it was just a background thing. But yeah, like contrasting it specifically with like, your Kill the House Lightses, your The Final Riot interstitials, et cetera, et cetera. Like it is a wild left turn from like your normal we're doing a documentary about this band at this pivotal point in their career type thing. And I really appreciate it for that. Like a lot of the fan interactions are like really great looks into why people connect to music the way they do. The conservative dude, we'll talk a little more about him in a second. Stuck out to me, but yeah, the parent interviews, like Tim's dad just talking nonchalantly about having like 50 plus kids in their basement was like really funny because I bet he was not stoked about it at the time.
Yeah.
If Tim's dad is anything like my parents were, who like, I don't think my parents listen to this, but sorry, Mom and Dad, if you do. I did notice when there was a pivot between when you had band practice in your basement and you didn't anymore, and suddenly the bands were okay to have. But yeah, I don't know. Like having that kind of angle on it is really, really cool. And especially like, cause I feel like it got more into like these are the parts that kind of suck about, not necessarily being in a band, but a little bit about being in a band, but mostly about like being, directly, married, have a child with, or in a committed relationship with, what have you. Like there's a lot of that, like from their wives and Tim's girlfriend, and just kind of like Joe and his wife missed out on basically the entire first year of their marriage because Joe was on tour. And that's tough, no matter like how, cool you are with it.
Yeah, no, the kid stuff, it's all like really got to me of like, Brandon talks about like having to leave for tour 10 days after his daughter was born. I was like, I couldn't do that. Like that,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be cut out for that kind of commitment to the band or whatever. But like, it's, I don't know. I have this like I had this like cynical streak through the whole thing because I was like, is this really? It's so demythologizing, but like, is that kind of its own controlled presentation of like just to make these like rock stars seem humble or whatever? Like because that's like kind of an in vogue thing now for like Taylor Swift does this. She'll have like a documentary that shows how normal she is or whatever, and like I want to believe that that's not what this is. That they really are just like, we're too humble and we're not that interesting, so let's make a documentary about our fans and the experience of liking our band or what we stand for or whatever. And like, so I don't know. I think it really is like an earnest portrait of them. But we should talk about the I'm a conservative Republican and I love Rise Against guy, because that is the weirdest thing. Like, I think the band likes to cast a wide net, is how I would put it. That like I think they like to be a band that appeals to everyone or gives everyone an opportunity to come and hear, what they have to say. And I think they want to get their ideals, their views, their causes in front of as many people as possible. But I have to wonder if they still kind of believe that, if they still feel that like nowadays they still think they can reach a Trump person or whatever.
I mean, I think the ideal for a band like this is that when your music reaches the ears of a person like that, it is possible to change their mind.
Exactly.
Yeah. And when a person says I am a conservative Republican and I love Rise Against, that is not a changed mind, probably. That said, like, so here's the thing I wonder, especially with bands like Rise Against, for whom many of the songs are not like referencing specific events or are maybe intentionally vague to maybe cast that wider net. I think at the core, a lot of people who are sorry, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this in a pithy way, but like the TLDR on what I'm thinking is like, I feel like a lot of this is like class consciousness that people are not recognizing. Like we are all being oppressed by the same systems. And even if you are doing pretty well in life, like that is still happening to you. And I think people who are on, the more conservative side, like I don't get the impression that this guy went on to vote for Trump. I hope not. That would suck.
I was more curious if he voted for Obama. That's what I want to ask him.
I would love to know. I would love a where are they now on these folks.
That actually would be fascinating if they could do that.
Incredibly. I hope that the kid that played guitar with Tim went on to start a cool band that I've just never heard of because I'm not cool enough. But anyway, like I think this is like a thing that a lot of people fall into, because like not recognizing that like the system, putting it broadly, isn't actually working for you. Like it is working for you if you're, a cis white dude. Yes. But like, it's not working for you in the same way that it's working for, say, a billionaire or the president of the United States. But like, I think that some of that stuff like leaks its way into like feeling like you can relate to these songs, but not understanding why you relate to these songs. And part of that I do put on the band for maybe not being explicit enough in their messaging sometimes, but part of that is like definitely on the individual listener, especially, with some of the more explicit songs, or when you get into like conservative Rage Against the Machine fans or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of inexcusable in a lot of ways, but like, if you're being selective, or you're quote unquote not a lyrics person, I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
or just the idea that like "fuck you, I won't do what you tell me" resonates with across the political spectrum.
Literally everyone, yeah.
Yeah, and I actually think that like the axes of alignment have changed. So I mean, just look at how many like 90s punk dudes are like anti-vaxxers or bigots or whatever now, because the like I hate everyone equally sort of mentality was so in at the time. And like I think there's probably some like holdover appeal to to Rise Against idea of like resistance against this like vague other or whatever, or the man or whatever, that like that gets twisted into like I said, kind of the anti-vax stuff, or the if we ever do a fucking Muse series, I'll go deep on that. But like, you know what I mean though, like I think that there's a, it's not what it means to be a leftist punk, or like a Republican or a Democrat or whatever, and how that relates to like the ideas that Rise Against is writing about. I think that has changed over the years, and so I kind of see it, but like now I think it just would be so hard to internalize any lyric that this band has ever written. And I mean, easier than like Propaganda probably, but like
Sure.
harder than most other bands to really like take what they're saying and be like, yeah, I also want to vote for Trump, and then sing a song like worth dying for.
Yeah, and like I feel like it's almost harder to believe at this point in their career than it is further down the line. Like, they haven't written Savior yet, so
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think I totally agree on all that. Like, it's I think that the gulf has widened too far at this point, for that to be feasible. But I'm sure it still happens. I don't know. I'm not paying too much attention to the crowds at Rise Against shows these days.
I just on the off chance I ever get to like interview them or talk to them or whatever, I honestly would love to ask about this, or if they ever think about it, because it's like, this is not like a legendary music documentary or anything. Like, it just is. It found it weirdly poignant, and just asked it made me ask a lot of questions about the band that I hadn't really thought about before, or that like made me see the band in a way that it was from a slightly different angle, in a way that these kind of documentaries usually absolutely don't.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It feels unique, which is so odd for such a like kind of offhand thing, seemingly.
Yeah, very much worth watching for any fan of the band.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that's the Suffer and the Witness era. Let's do some random recommendations. What do you got this week?
So I just got off of recording another podcast doing a top 5 albums of Q1. So I thought about bringing an album, but I actually think I want to bring the 1999 Brad Bird film, The Iron Giant. If you haven't seen this movie, it is an animated film from 1999. It had a, let's say, torrid development and promotion cycle. I am amazed that I saw this movie in theaters when I was a kid, because I'm kind of shocked that it made it out my way. For those who don't know, animated film, kind of set around the Cold War, the space race, etc. I guess that wouldn't have really. It's earlier than that. It's more like the duck and cover era of our collective history. There's a very funny parody, like kind of PSA video for children in it, in which a bomb falls on a desk that someone is ducking underneath, and the entire Earth just blows away from underneath this child, but the desk is intact, they are alive, and the ground directly underneath them is still there. Good stuff. But it's a movie that I saw when I was a kid, and I was like 11 at the time. Definitely didn't grok the themes of the movie. It is 100% an anti-war and maybe a little bit anti-government movie, anti-U.S. government to be clear. But the kind of centerpiece of the film is that the kind of core conceit of the film is that a robot from outer space. Don't know where exactly he comes from in the original cut of the movie. It's alluded to a little bit in like a director's cut that comes out later. Crashes to Earth, is sentient, is found by this kid Hogarth Hughes, and he eats metal. He does not know where he came from, but he learns language pretty quickly, and is voiced by Vin Diesel. And it's kind of a like almost a classic like robot learning to be human type storyline, but with kind of the twist of like it's very, very much leans into like a nature versus nurture type thing. You know, it's got a lot going on for what is ostensibly a children's film, which like it should be no surprise that Brad Bird went to make more beloved animated films that also resonate with adults. But I watched it at the Music Box this last weekend, and I love that movie so much. I didn't see it for years after I initially watched it, and it was one of those things where like occasionally online a gif of like one of the like really sad parts of the movie would pop up, and like I would hear and see the scene in my head, and I would just like lose it, and that still happens because it's pretty powerful in that way. But it being at the Music Box at 11:30 in the morning meant that a lot of people from, you know, like the kind of outlying suburbs and like the like kind of more kid-friendly neighborhoods brought their kids to this movie, and that was like really sweet. It was also just cool to see it on film for the first time since 1999. I think everything since has been, you know, a VHS or a DVD or a digital projection at a like regular theater. But yeah, The Iron Giant, great film, holds up. Maybe more poignant than ever, much like some of these Rise Against albums we've talked about.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but it is a very good movie.
Definitely. What you got?
I'm going to recommend not going to see Brand New on tour. No,
Thank you. Somebody's saying it.
Yeah, no. My actual recommendation for this week is the new Steven Soderbergh movie, Black Bag. It's like a quiet, tense little spy thriller about a married couple who are kind of one believes that the other might have sold a weapon of mass destruction. And it's just it's Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett and a number of other great actors. I don't know, if you like small, solid movies, lots of great dialogue and just a really tense, great camera control from Steven Soderbergh, like he does in every single movie that he makes. It's a really good one. Highly recommended.
Hell yeah. I've been seeing friends reviews of this slowly trickling in, and every single person seems to love it, so I'm very excited to watch this one.
It's great.
Hey folks, Matt here, cutting in as I'm editing this. We forgot to mention that this Saturday, as you're listening to this, assuming that you are listening on release day or sometime during the week here, that Troy and I's band, The Long Way Home, is playing at Burlington Bar this Saturday, April 12th, here in Chicago. We're going to be playing with our buds in Blind Atom in the Federal League and our buds in the Midnight Miles. We're real stoked about this one. If you feel up to coming by and you're in Chicago, doors are at 8, Burlington Bar on Fullerton near like Kimball. Show probably starts at 9-ish. Or whatever the Burlington equivalent of 9-ish is. Yeah, if you feel like coming out, hit us up. Hope to see you there. All right, we're going to do the outro now because we actually did an outro this time. Bye.
Cool. So with that, we will be back next week talking about Appeal to Reason. I realized I've never done like an actual outro for this show. So I should say, follow us on Instagram at noisefloorpod and noisefloorpodcast.com, and we will see you next week.
We'll see you then.